Holmes, Dr. Ernest Holmes, from The Science of Mind. Let us feel that our purposes are animated and inspired from on high. And then let us go forth and make our dream come true in the human experience. Beautiful, inspiring words by Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science. So let us feel that our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations have been implanted within us by the divine, that they are there for a reason. We believe that nothing happens just accidentally. Everything happens for a reason. We were created for a reason. So the implantation of who we are, our personality, and the beauty and the divinity of who we are has been there for a reason, for us to express it. And we're going to talk about that today, as we did last week, and as we will continue in April. So say this after me. I am here so that God can express in me.
I am here so that God can express in me.
Didn't hear you very well.
I am here so God can express in me.
All right then. Hold that forth and let that come through our awareness. Let us know that this is the truth. This is truth. And then let us get about knowing that our divine activities are divinely guided. Really divinely guided, not just a bunch of words. It's true. And if you don't believe me, try it. Live by that, because it works, right? Well, I know so many of you live your lives with these spiritual teachings that we teach here. And I love this time. This is the time when the Master Jesus, he was a young boy, and his parents had brought him into Jerusalem for Passover. When the feast was over, his parents headed back to Nazareth. Jesus wasn't with them. Although they did not know that at the time, they thought that he was with other children in the group, and that they were traveling with. But when they looked for him, they could not find him anywhere. So they turned back to Jerusalem. They looked all over the city and couldn't find him for 3 days, 3 nights, couldn't find him. They found him in the temple sitting with the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions, conversing with them. And when she saw them, Mary ran up to Jesus and, like any worried mother, said, "What the heck are you doing? Where you been? How could you do this?" Okay, actually Scripture says that she actually went to him and said, "My son, my son, why have you done so to us? Behold, your father and I are looking for you with much anxiety." And his answer was profound. Why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I was about doing my Father's business? Wow. That's why we are here. That's why. And at that time, Mary did not understand that, but we understand that. In a short life of a master teacher, he accomplished so much. So much. One of our original New Thought teachers. So we too, if we really want to cross this bridge, which is what this whole month is about, is crossing the bridge. But first we got to build the bridge. And even before we build the bridge, we got to recognize there is a bridge. Because sometimes we don't quite see it, and I'm going to get into that. To paraphrase Ernest Holmes on that, he said, "We must be about making our dream come true in human experience. Otherwise, when is it going to come true?" I want to live it now, don't you? Yeah, we want to live it now. You're the only one. You're the only one who can know specifically what this means for you. I don't know what is within someone else's thoughts, their dreams, their really inner chamber. I don't know what's in there. So it's for us to know. You are the only one who can say what the call of the divine is for you. What your heart desires to experience. But whatever that happens to be, it is always a key part of who you are. What you decide to do with the call is within all of us. We each have this propelling, this force that wants to do more, that wants to create, that wants to express, that wants to make a difference on this planet in your own lives. And so that is the call of the divine. What you do with it is up to you. You can smother it, you cannot admit it to yourself that it even exists, or you can daydream about it. You can say that this dream, you can repeat it all day long while you hang onto the edge of the cliff that we spoke of last week for dear life. You remember, it's either the ground rises up to meet us at the edge of the cliff, or we spread wings and fly. So the choice is up to you. You can go for it, which requires bridging the gap. And we talked last week that the acronym is the Grand Adventure in Purpose. We all have a grand adventure in purpose. I like to make most things that I do an adventure. So when I go on trips, I like to call it, whoever I'm with, so-and-so and Margaret's Great Adventure. Because everything should be like joyful and an adventure if you're going to do it. So this month we're bridging the gap. And today we're going to look at another idea of actually building the bridge. How do we build that bridge to get from here to here? Okay? Because often when we take that leap of faith, which we talked about last week, we don't see a bridge. We don't see anything. It looks like a big void in front of us. Do you remember the movie Indiana Jones? Yeah, I just kind of like watched part of it recently. This is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Harrison Ford, or Indiana Jones, had a big dream, a really big dream. And it is to find the Holy Grail. He's been on a grand adventure in purpose, the gap, for the bulk of the movie, if you remember this. But he is now getting close, very, very close to his dream. In fact, he suddenly finds himself faced with a big, big, big chasm. Remember that? Yeah. He's got to get across it. Literally, he doesn't know how to get across it. Not only will he find the Grail on the other side, but he'll be killed because the bad guys, the bad guys are in hot pursuit. Remember that scene? Well, if you don't, just go with it. It's all good. He goes with the talk, so this is what happens. He steps out into the void, and the bridge does appear. As he takes the next step, more of the bridge appears. Step by step, he walks, and as he walks, the bridge appears in front of him. And as the camera pans back, we can see that the bridge was there all along. But the color and the formation of the rocks created an optical illusion, so that neither he or anyone else could see that bridge. And of course, on the other side of the bridge was the Holy Grail, was the purpose. The purpose was on the other side. So today, and the next couple of Sundays, we're going to explore some tools, because I like us to have things we can actually use in life, practical tools, to help us build that bridge from where our seed of our dream, beautiful reading, seed of our dream is, to the manifestation of it, okay? So there's two tools that I'm going to talk about today, which I am really excited to talk about, because they're they're all my favorite, but these two are my real favorite. Okay, the first one is cultivating the open moment. The open moment. What is an open moment? The open moment is that moment when we deliberately choose to open just even the tiniest corner of our minds to the possibility, the absolute possibility that things can work out the way we would like them. Just that little bit of willingness. That's all we need. So, infinite potential. The open moment is the willingness to believe in the possibilities even when we're feeling hopeless and discouraged. Even in those times, in fact, are the most important times to test out. You know, Ernest Holmes talks about that. You know, I could write all these books, I can tell you all this stuff, but you have to do it for yourself to believe it. And that's the truth. Do it for yourself to believe it. So I want to do this again because I like it. The open moment is the willingness to believe in the possibility even when we are feeling hopeless and discouraged. Isn't that great? Yeah. Things can work out the way we want them to when we hold to or something better, always or something better. Because the divinity always makes something so much better. We can have our idea, our intention, plant our seed, but be open to God's good, because there's so much more than our good. So I'm just putting that out there. It is the moment when we accept that perhaps, just perhaps, better than what we have imagined, from where we stand right now, our dreams can come true. They can, they do. I've seen it, I claim it. And I know that many people here have done the same exact thing. Holding on to that, knowing it is taking place right here, right now. I might not see it, but it is taking place. The open moment is the willingness to believe in possibilities. Infinite possibilities. So we have to make the deliberate choice to look for them, with the willingness to find them. And when we do, they appear to us. But we have to be willing before we can move ahead, right? Have you ever, here's an example. Have you ever lost something?
Yes.
I do it every day. It's a daily occurrence. I'm always looking for things. It's always, it's in my bag. I can't find my phone. I can't find my keys. I can't find my wallet. And they're always, so, you know, and you look, and you go crazy, and then you might pray to St. Anthony, and which I do. I mean, you can stop, say a prayer, take a breath, and go back and look in all those places that you looked before, and lo and behold, you had to get there. I looked here 3 times, and there it is. It happens to all of us.
Absolutely.
Okay? So, if we are ever to become the person who is capable of living our dreams, we must nurture in ourselves this open moment where everything is in perfect order. The willingness within us to shift the way we look at things. To shift the way we... So, if you're feeling stuck, or helpless, or powerless, thinking that your dream can't possibly happen, what if you could just be willing to believe that it is possible? Or have the willingness to believe that impossible things can actually occur for you. That which looks like impossible absolutely can take place. But you need to have that open moment, that open mind, to be slightly open, and you have to be totally open, just a little bit. That's all the universe needs. That's all God's good needs to get in, is that little bit of willingness. And I love this dialogue because I love Alice in Wonderland. And I love this from Alice in Wonderland. There's no use in trying, Alice said. One can't believe in impossible things. I dare say you have not had much practice, said the Queen. Why, when I was your age, I always did it for half an hour every day. And even before breakfast, 6 impossible things, I would imagine them already done. Try, and it's a very metaphysical book, try asking yourself this question. What would I see if I were willing to believe that my dream was possible? And not only what you would see, what would I feel if what I am dreaming of, dream big, is really possible? That's an open moment. That's what we're talking about. That's the open moment. Be willing to have an answer come to you, because I will tell you, whenever I ask, I call it the universe, divine energy, especially during my meditation, I just sit with it. I usually, at some point, get an answer. The universe always answers. In her book, I like this quote. Successfully Mid-Air, Sandra Daly writes this. possibility and potential exist right here and right now. It's as if you were holding their breath, just waiting for you to focus on them so they can live their own purpose, which is to become. The open moment's purpose is simply to open the tiniest crack in the wall and stand between, I can't have this dream, and here's all the reasons why, and the actual experience of the better life that already exists right in front of you. Open the tiniest corner of your mind to possibilities, and your experience of life will never be the same. Just like with Indiana Jones, he didn't see that bridge. He took a leap of faith. Our first tool then this morning for building that bridge is being willing to have an open moment. To be willing to know that that which seemingly looks impossible is a word that's made up. And you've probably heard this. Really, if you break it down, it says, I'm possible. I love that. Yeah, isn't that good? Yeah. So, moving on to the second part of the talk today, which is on intuition. We've talked in the past about our 6 mental faculties. Our Prosperity Plus class goes in great detail over them. And we don't really, we focus on our 5 senses. But we have 6 mental faculties which are from here up. The rest are not. Okay, it's how we survive in this world, and it limits us. Because the 6 mental faculties are imagination, perception, memory, will, reason, and intuition. And we aren't going to go over all of them, of course, today, but there is one extremely important one that I want to go over in building the bridge, and that's our intuition. Listening to and following our intuition is a huge tool in building the bridge from incubation to manifestation of our dreams. So we have the seed that goes into the incubator, and it must germinate, like the seed goes into the soil to become that exact plant of the seed that was planted in it. And as in the reading today, we don't interfere with that part of it. We let the universal law take care of how to make it come true. In the Indiana Jones story about the bridge appearing that I shared earlier, something happened before he took that first step. Something happened. He took the first step into what seemed like the void. Before taking that step, Indiana was guided internally to believe that if he just stepped out, a bridge would appear. He kind of believed that. He heard the guidance. We're always divinely guided. Are we paying attention? Are we listening to what seems, or are we dismissing it? Because it sounds like a little, I'm not going to do it. That's what we do. That's what I do. I don't know what you do. That's what I do. But I don't do that anymore. I've learned, absolutely learned, that when I get that feeling or hear that voice, I am following it. Because it's always leading me. I have something really good about that in here. It's always leading me to my greatest good. So, after he heard that guidance, though, all he could see was the deep cavern. Should he fall into it, he would die. So he had this amazing dilemma going on. He must trust that if he steps out, he's supported. He knew that his dream, finding the Holy Grail, required trusting that inner voice. But if it was wrong, if it wasn't the right voice, he would die. And then he heard the Father's voice in his mind that said, "You must believe me, son. You must believe me." And that is all it took for him to have the courage to take that step. Our intuition, our inner guidance won't steer us wrong. It won't, even if it looks illogical. And, I've mentioned it a few times here. I closed the door to my former home, to my marriage, and closed the door literally at 3 o'clock in the morning and stepped out into the void because I didn't know. what the universe had for me. I didn't know that good that was there. And then, yeah, you got to go through stuff. But you know, you use these spiritual principles, and that meaning the universe has provided the most incredible life for me that I could never have imagined. It is impossible, I would have said 7 years ago, 6.5 years ago. And that happened March 12th. So, hey, happy anniversary, Margaret. I took the leap of faith. I took that leap of faith, and the universe guided me every single part of the way. The void wasn't void. It was filled with divine good. We call intuition our inner voice, and I heard that inner voice. But we have a lot of inner voices. So we got to really decipher which is the voice of our divinity, our divine self. Because we get these voices of self-doubt, self-judgment, all of those voices. How about calling, I like this, how about calling our intuition or guidance system the voice that loves me? When it feels good and you feel like, even if it feels scary, but it feels right, it's the voice that loves me. That's your divinity. Because God loves each and every one of his creations. Each and every one. And when we say that, it conjures up an entirely different image of all the other voices we hear. Because I hear people say, well, how do I know it's my intuition speaking or something else speaking? Because it's always the voice that is for your highest good. And you can feel that good. You can feel it. Our intuition is the voice that loves us. Inside every single one of us is the voice that loves us. It is always present, always present. And if we pay attention, we can hear it. If we don't pay attention, you might get a message like I got that night, which was screaming in my face when I was trying to go to sleep. Walk down those steps and close the door. Forget about it. We talked last week about when one door closed and there's a hallway in between. There was no hallway. Just got in my car and drove off. That was it. That was it. But it's always giving us direction. It is absolutely the perfect signaling device for our aliveness, our health, our well-being when we listen to it. The ability to live life fully without stops. Most of us have been trained to ignore that voice. Children aren't trained to listen to that beautiful, intuitive voice that says go out and play and live life, because that is divinity. That the children, you think children are divinely guided? Of course they are. But it's such a beautiful guiding system. It's the voice of love. So there's a beautiful passage about intuition in The Alchemist. It's a fable about following our dream. The boy was beginning to understand that intuition is really a sudden immersion of the soul into the universal current of life, where the histories of all people are connected, and we are able to know everything because it's all written there. It's oneness, remember, unity. Begin to trust your intuition to light your way, really, and soon you will really be on your way. So let's take an open moment here by going within ourselves and just making the tiniest crack of openness, of willingness, without even knowing how, because we don't know how anyway. We think we do, we don't. Only the divine knows how. But we know what we want. And that, if you come from your heart with what you want, it will manifest. It might take longer than you want. Sometimes I get impatient. I'm working on patience, it's my thing. So it won't happen. So it could happen right away. If you got the consciousness and the knowing and the absolute feeling state all aligned, it can happen immediately. Well, sometimes it takes time. So in that tiniest crack between I can't have this dream, and here's all the reasons why I can't, and the actual experience of that better life that is right there in your corner of your mind when you open up to unlimited possibilities. And listen to that voice of intuition. It does not steer us wrong. Use the open moment and the voice that loves us as navigational tools to bridge the grand adventure and purpose. The gap, remember? Grand adventure and purpose. Do you hear the words written again, but in The Alchemist? I love this. Just listen to this. This is good. My heart is afraid it will have to suffer, the boy told the alchemist one night as they looked up at the moonless sky. Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. And that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams. Because, oh, I'm getting caught. Because every second of the search is a second's encounter with God and with eternity.
Can you read it again?
Yeah. The whole thing?
I was thinking that
Just that
too.
last.
Okay. Okay, I'll read that again. And that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams. Because every second of the search is a second's, apostrophe S, encounter, is that second's encounter with God and with eternity. That's the second itself. And we know there's no time in divine mind, but there is divine right order. But in every second, we are open to have an encounter with the divine. That's what that breaks down to. And that is all there truly is. Oh, I didn't finish. I got a second part to that. Isn't that good?
Yeah.
I really,
Second to the
I'm
second.
standing up here, God bumps all over me. Okay. Every second of the search is an encounter with God, the boy told his heart. When I had been truly searching for my treasure, every day has been luminous because I've known that every hour was part of the dream, that I would find it. When I had been truly searching for my treasure, I've discovered things along the way that I never would have seen had I not had the courage to try things that seemed impossible. So, I just love that reading. I think that is so important. So let us remember then, every second that we bridge the gap is an encounter with the divine. So be open to this infinite guidance, because it will never, ever fail you. And so it is.